Cora, good morning.
Good morning.
You've had such a long journey to eventually get before the courts and see a prison sentence handed down on your stepmother, Bridget Keneally. 4 years going through the legal battle and 10 years of hell from the age of 6, I believe, yeah?
Yep, that's right.
Do you mind if we rewind the clock to your young age of 6 when your dad married Bridget Keneally and she became, what was at the beginning, a kind enough stepmother, I believe?
Yeah, she was. At the start, everything was perfect. You know, she was your normal, typical stepmother, kind, caring, all of that. And then all of a sudden, it just turned to pure evil. And everything just changed. And that's when it kind of started when I was 6. And lasted until I was 16.
It started to change, you say, with the odd few slaps here and there, 1 or 2 punches, and from there it just got worse.
It just kept getting worse, yeah.
Until you became nothing more than a punch bag.
Yep. You know, it's something that you couldn't write, you know, that kind of way. You couldn't make this stuff up. You know, it was just, how do I say it?
You were 6 years old. You wouldn't be able.
I was 6 years old. I didn't understand what was going on.
You wouldn't be able to process it. It actually, you know, I've read the court reports, Cora, and it did strike me as if it was almost like a horrific fairy tale. She called you Cora Ella, just like Cinderella. Why?
I think the reason behind it was somewhat of control, and the fact that I was constantly more or less slaving around after her and her children. You know, she felt joy in calling me Cora Ella because she knew it tormented me. She knew I hated it, and it was just kind of a power thing, I think, for her.
Yeah, while her own kids were given the freedom to hang out with their friends, you and your sister were cleaning up and running the house and doing all of the housework and chores.
Yep, that was our daily life. Our kids lived their life with their friends and done what they wanted to do, and for us it was just get up, clean after her kids, and wait for the next beating as such.
And what did she say as a reason for treating you like this? Like that you were unloved?
I deserved it.
Oh, yeah.
I deserved it, and that it was all my fault, and I drew it on myself, and if I had been better, and if I had done what I was supposed to do, and all of that, then this wouldn't be happening. But no matter what I'd done, it would happen.
The beatings got worse and went on for as you got older, and then she began to use implements, did she not?
She did. She'd use the sweeping brush, metal spatulas from the kitchen, wooden spoons, the pipe from the Hoover, anything, fire poker, belts, anything she could really get her hand on. It was her first weapon, you know.
And would you be pleading with her? Stop.
I did for a while, but eventually I realised that it was just useless. There was no point in begging her to stop, because the more I asked her to stop, the more I cried, the more she beat me.
So therefore,
it was kind of like she was punishing me for feeling pain.
And then all you had then was to wait for the next blow up and the next abuse. The judge described it actually as significant, systematic, controlling abuse.
Yeah, he's not wrong there. It's basically what it was. It was kind of like a waiting game to see what kind of a mood she'd be in, what kind of a beating I'd get. You know, it was just the constant living in fear.
And would anything kick her off?
Anything. Absolutely anything. You could make a noise, you could not be in front of her as soon as she called your name or before she's called your name. And if you're not in front of her, or if you've not done something on time, or you get home, I got home from school late, or anything. It was just any reason.
And Cora, there was one occasion where I believe you broke your thumb, and another occasion... Yeah, talk to me about that, because she would make you lie about the injuries, would she?
She would. So there was always an excuse for every single injury I had. Be it a mark on my body, be it, anything. There was always an excuse for it. So the thumb incident, basically I can't even remember why she was so angry with me that day in particular. I think I was only 13 when it happened. And she just got so angry, she grabbed my hand and just started twisting my hand and my fingers, and it eventually just snapped my thumb. And she told me to tell doctors and anybody who asked that I fell out in her back garden, which was a lie.
But you told them nonetheless, out of fear?
I followed whatever I was told to say, that's what I said, and there was no ifs, buts or whats about it. Yeah. I stuck to what I was told to say.
There was, I was reading in the court reports, an occasion where you got beaten and ended up with very bad bruising to your head and 50 bruises to your body. Now, correct me if any of this is wrong. And that resulted in you going to hospital. Did the hospital staff or the medics not ask you about that?
They did, but I was living in such fear, and it was just constant fear, and I knew that if I spoke up, that it wouldn't end well for me, because she would always threaten that I would be taken away from my sister and my dad. And as a child, that's not what you want. You don't want to go into foster care. You don't want to be separated from your family. So
this was another threat. You tell anyone you'll be split up from your sister and your dad.
You'll be split up or I'll kill you. It was one or the other, sometimes both. It was just constant threats with her, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't quite sure what she was actually capable of.
So in this case, you lied again and said that you got the bruises, 50 of them, at Funderland.
At Funderland, outside playing with my friends. That never happened. I was never out playing with... Well, I was out playing with friends, but it was very rare. There was no way that I could have possibly gotten all those injuries from Funderland and the estate.
So apart from the beatings, which were systematic abuse, as I say, what was... Like, there were 7 days in every week and 30 odd days in every month and 12 months in every year. What were those days, months and years like? What did you do every day? You went to school? Did you come home, have to clean, cook? Were you chief cook and bottle washer?
I would get up, I would scrub. I would usually start with scrubbing either her kitchen or her bathrooms or her sitting room. I would start with scrubbing something. Some room in the house had to be scrubbed before we went to school. And if it wasn't done, there was a beating waiting for me when I got in the door. I would go to school. It was my only safe, free place. And once I would be in school, I would be, wondering, just counting down the minutes until I had to leave and go home, and constant fear of what kind of mood is she going to be in, how bad am I going to get it when I go home, how long more till I can just walk away and be done with it, and all of that. It was tough growing up. It was tough.
To say the least. And when you'd get home of an afternoon, when the clock ticked down to home time, what happened then when you got home regularly? Was it more cleaning, more scrubbing?
More cleaning, more scrubbing. Her whole house had to be scrubbed from top to bottom every single day, and it was done by me and my sister. Her kids would come home, have their dinner plated up to them, have their washing put away for them, have their rooms scrubbed for them, and it was basically all but done by us, me and my sister. It was just constant running around after them. At the end of the day, she was such a manipulative person.
What did you do?
Well, I was talking to my mother one day in her house. I was staying over and we just got to talking, and eventually I broke down and I just told her, I said, Mom, I can't do it anymore. And she promised me that something would be done about it, and within, as I can't remember exactly the dates and stuff, but I think it was within about a week or so, I had an appointment to go and see the guards and give my statement and all of that. So she basically, my mom started me on the journey.
She must have been horrified when you told her the story.
Absolutely distraught. Absolutely distraught. And like, it was so hard to believe, as a mother, knowing that your child has gone through this at the hands of somebody else who is a mother themselves, who has children of her own, to think that she could do the same thing to somebody else's child.
So then your mum knew, and your mum instigated you getting help from the Garda Síochána, and then a couple of weeks later, your dad was told. How did he react, I ask?
Well, initially, I don't know exactly how he reacted, because I got scared when he got that phone call, and I was like thinking to myself, she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me, and tonight is the night that I'm going to die if I don't run. So I grabbed a few things and I ran straight to my mum's, and I didn't see or speak to my dad for a couple of weeks because it was just come out of complete and utter fear. I didn't know what his situation with her was. I didn't know how he was after reacting. I cut everybody off. It was my way of dealing.
And you suffered for all of those years, in case people are wondering, because of the threat of being split from your sister, of course.
Yeah. That was a big part. It's always been me and my sister, and it still is to this day, as a child, you don't want to be separated from your siblings or your parents.
I know. So now the guards are aware of what's going on, and they start an investigation, and it goes on for, 4 years anyway. I think you believed for some part of that this was never going to go to court, that you were never going to get heard. Is that right?
I did. Eventually I started to believe that I wasted my time, wasted the guards' time, in reporting it, because it had been going on for so long, just waiting and waiting and waiting to find out what was going to happen, what kind of justice would be served, and it just felt like time was going so slow and nothing was happening. So it just, my family always tried to boost me up and keep telling me that one day, just keep looking forward, you're going to get justice. And, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today,
You perhaps would have just given up.
Telling my story. I would have just completely and utterly given up.
Of course,
completely.
We did hear in court that your father is no longer in a relationship with Bridget Keneally any longer. I imagine that had much to do with what he heard about happening to you.
They separated as soon as he found out.
Okay.
The night he got that phone call, that was it. He separated from her, and that was the end of that.
Did you ever... You don't necessarily have to answer this, but did he ever come and have a conversation with you about those 10 years and how he felt about it?
We talk about it. We do talk about it, and he still to this day feels so guilty that he didn't notice and that he didn't know what was going on and that he couldn't help me. And at the end of the day, it's not his fault. He's not the one that made the decision to abuse a child.
No, absolutely.
He's not the one that made the decision to torture someone and brainwash someone. He was doing the best he could as a father.
Oh, I know, and I just wonder, he must be carrying an awful load. That's all I'm thinking,
Yeah, he does.
And and so to Cork Circuit Criminal Court. Keneally's in front of the judge, charged with assault causing harm. I think there was one specific case that she pled guilty to, and the DPP accepted that on the basis that you could tell your entire story. Am I right?
Yeah, it was a guilty plea on an all facts basis, as far as
Is that what
I
they call
can
it?
remember. I think that's the way they kind of worded it.
And was there an apology? Was there, I believe there was a psychologist's report showing no remorse, and an apology that was given to you that you don't accept?
Yeah. It might sound selfish of me or, cruel of me to not accept this apology, but at the end of the day, I know her. I lived with her for 11 years of my life. I know her mind games. I know the way she is. And I know that she's only apologising now because it's gotten as severe as what it has. She's up in court. She's facing these charges, and it was an apology just for show, in my opinion. The judge, she might have meant it, she might not have, but it to me, it doesn't make a difference.
The judge agreed with you on that. He said,
did,
I find that I have to find with the victim when she says the apology is not accepted by her. In fact, he went on to say that Keneally showed no remorse, and she felt as if there was a vendetta against her. Bizarre. Bizarre.
It is. It is bizarre.
And I know that she brought €5,000, but this is not about money. How did you feel about the sentence? 3 years with 1 year taken off for a guilty plea.
It was a complete and utter shock, because we've been waiting so long that we just thought, she's going to walk away with a slap on the wrist, maybe do a little bit of community service or something. But we never thought that she would actually end up locked up and away and not able to cause harm to another child. It was just complete and utter shock.
You were not expecting a custodial sentence?
Not expecting it at all. I asked the guard, Sergeant Mark Ward, who has been dealing with this case from day one. I looked at him, I said, Mark, what just happened? And he said, like, she's going away. He said, like, we've done it. He said, you've done it. She's going away. And I still can't believe it. Hours later, I'm still shocked.
You actually singled out Sergeant Ward for special mention, didn't you?
I did. He's the one that I gave my initial statement to. And he is the one who has been dealing with the case more so than anybody else, as far as I'm aware. And it's just, he's been an amazing help to me. Not only helping me with the case and, court and all of that, but he is always checking up to make sure that I'm okay, and that if I need anything, I know he's only a phone call away, and he's just been absolutely amazing. In
spite of being denied a childhood, what kind of a place are you in now?
I'm in a great place now. I've worked hard in the last 4.5 years with counsellors and doctors and my family and friends to get to where I am and be somewhat happy and enjoying life. Obviously as a 21-year-old, there's stresses and there's responsibilities and stuff, but I never pictured myself making it this far.
What would you like to do with the rest of your long, long life, considering what you have learned, what you've experienced, what you've gone through? You talk of others who perhaps are going through this or have gone through it, listening now. You say, speak up. There are people who will listen. Is that a career path for you, do you think? I
have thought about it, but I don't think that I'm the person for that. I think that anybody who is going through something or was going through something should speak out as soon as possible, and get help, and be it help with your mental health or help to escape from a violent person or persons, whoever. Like, just speak out and tell someone, because you never know when it's going to be too late. And
not to listen to the threats that are made that nobody will believe you, or you'll be split from your siblings.
You will be believed. That was one of my biggest fears when I was reporting my incident, and my biggest fear is that I wouldn't be believed, but I realised not long after that she's the one that wasn't believed, and I had people fighting in my corner, people who I didn't know, people who I'd never heard of, never met. They were fighting in my corner, and it just shows that there are good people out there that will help you.
Do you have nightmares?
Yeah, quite a bit. Nightmares, just flashbacks constantly of anything. Somebody could say something, I could hear a sound, I could smell a smell, and it's just all coming flooding back. It's going to affect me for the rest of my life, and I've accepted that, but I won't let it define me or control me anymore.
Well, I've spoken to many, many people in the course of my career, many, many thousands of people of all ages, and you're one of the most inspiring young women I've ever spoken to, and one of the bravest as well. Thank you so much for taking the call. Cora Desmond telling her story now at the age of 21 at the hands of Bridget Keneally of Youghal, who pleaded guilty at Cork Circuit Criminal Court yesterday and got a 2-year sentence. Your thoughts are welcome. Text 086 8104 106. An incredibly brave young woman. And I also have some phone numbers if you were affected by that I would like to share with you at this point in time, and also post on our social media platforms on Twitter and Facebook. Samaritans are on 116 123 116 123. Childline is on 1-800 666 666. Barnardos are on 1-800 910 123, and TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency, that's a local number for TUSLA, on 4923 493. If you have any concerns that you think should be directed towards TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency, 4923 493. For children, it's 1-800 666 666. That's Childline, and I'll post those numbers on social media, as I say. And my sincerest thanks to Cora for talking with me. To Cora for talking with me. To Cora for talking with me.